advice segment this morning. We look into a career in town planning, and joining us for this discussion is John Brasseur from the Urban Dynamics Town Planners. You at home can take part in the discussion by leaving your comments on our Facebook as well as Twitter pages. John, thanks very much for joining us. I've been living in the city of Joburg, I think, almost for the past 20 years or so, and I've seen all sorts of things happening in the city. I'm sure as a town planner, this part of things that you guys get involved in shaping the face of a city over time. What does town planning involve?
Look, town planning is really involved with over time accommodating, I think, on the one hand, the demands placed on land by different land uses such as housing, infrastructure, transportation, leisure developments with the needs and aspirations of the community, really. So it's really trying to strike that balance between what needs to happen from a land use perspective and what the community requires.
In terms of the planning, how far ahead do you guys work?
Look, planning happens on different levels, from our National Development Plan, which is a very long-term strategy for how our country should change over time, right through to 5 years and 3 years sort of serial planning that takes place. So it happens on different levels and for different time periods. But planning is done fairly long in advance because of the fact that we have to accommodate a very fast-growing metropolitan community, really.
Yeah, true. Okay, what are the pros and cons of getting into a career in town planning?
Look, I think it's quite a diverse profession. So the application of town planners could be found right through from working for government in municipal, local government and national government, right through to being a consultant in private practice and working for financial institutions and so forth. So one could find application quite widely. I think the pros are really that that there are quite diverse things that you can do, first of all, and that I think because of the type of work that you do, you also get you get to do different things with different people. So that, I think, is the pros, first of all. The cons, I think, like any job, there are administration that you have to take care of, and there are a certain amount of routine. But that is far overshadowed by the excitement of being involved in a growing city and a growing environment.
Wow, you get some serious insights there. Okay, let's talk about, I know you've been in this industry for over 20 years now, so I'm going to try and take you back to in school. What sort of subjects, should you be interested in, maybe a little bit of your character and a personality that can fare you well later on in your career in life?
Well, I think if you've got an interest in the environment around you, first of all, that is, I think, one of the key criteria, and that if you can see different points of view, and that if you can take balanced decisions, that are sort of the characteristics of someone that should or could pursue a career in town planning. I think the types of subjects that you require at school, science and mathematics, I think is essential in order to get into the schools and the universities. But what also helps is geography and an interest in the environment, really.
In the environment. Okay, the difference between being a town planner and then other fields like an architect, do these connect somewhere? Do I need to have an understanding of that, or what is the relationship rather between the two?
Right, I think town planning, from that perspective, is one of the built environment professions. So it really strongly relates to these fields you mentioned, such as architecture, civil engineering, land survey, environmental studies. So all those fields are really in the built environment and deals with different types or different upgradings in the built environment. Town planning is really central to most of those, because the planning process ultimately ends up in the betterment of that environment, whether that is infrastructure, whether that is housing, whether that is buildings and streets and sidewalks and things.
Does it involve building science in that as well?
Look, building science is related, although this is normally a pre-process that takes place before architecture and the actual implementation of infrastructure and building.
Okay, so let's talk about the challenges that you can come across in this career of town planning. What should you sort of anticipate and things like that?
Well, the challenges, I think, is in an environment like ours is quite diverse. I think in our environment, principally because we are such a fast-growing urban environment, it is challenging because the city constantly needs to take or play catch-up with regards to how people, as people move into the city. So I think those are some of the main challenges on a broad scale. On a day-to-day scale, I think obviously the people that you work with in municipalities, in different spheres of government, in the private sector, with the banks and with developers and so forth, are stretched quite thin because of it is a relatively small career or profession, and one finds that it can get quite challenging with regards to different community needs and aspirations. Yes.
Okay, I used to think like, it's old, experienced guys with like glasses, almost like professors who are planning the town. But we're trying to speak to a young person here who wants to be here where you are, like 20 years down the line. And obviously, our country is fast growing. Infrastructure development is one of the growing industries, sectors in our economy. So we want this young person to be inspired to pursue this. What can you say to them, and what sort of like things, how should they go about pursuing a career in town planning?
Well, I think one should first of all try to speak to someone that is either a town planner or in the built environment to find out what the different built environment professions do. Town planning may not be for everyone, but just as something like architecture or engineering is not for everyone. So there's a specific niche I think that could be applicable to someone that may want to pursue this career. I think it's in the diversity that it offers and the different types of work that you can do as a town planner or town and regional planner that really is quite exciting. And while you find town planners in the municipalities and in different spheres of government, you also find town planners working as consultants, as I do in private practice, but right through for the financial services sector in IT, and you find town planners working for developers as project managers. So it is quite diverse, and I think there's quite a lot you can do.
Is there a high demand for town planners? I mean, we've got small cities which are becoming big towns in our country, surely, and in no time there will be, big cities. So is the demand high?
Look, I think there is a demand for town planners. The demand seems to be fed quite well from the planning schools at this stage. And there's always a need for young qualified planners in all the different fields. I think it's the specific set of skills that town planners bring and the understanding of the environment that really makes them relatively unique in different fields. So if you consider someone that may work in an IT field or for a retail developer with a town planning background, has got a much broader understanding of what that environment entails. So yes, I think it is quite, from my perspective, in any case, it's quite a diverse and interesting area, and one's always looking for good talent in a profession like this.
Do you think, our country is growing very fast. I mean, we spoke about living in the city of Johannesburg and Gauteng. Obviously, so much is happening. Are we producing enough town planners to meet some of the demands that we have, maybe as a province, as a country?
Look, I think currently we are probably producing enough. We find quite a shortage in skilled professionals, especially in the rural areas and the outlying areas.
Yeah.
But then again, most of the action is in the cities. 40% of all the construction in the country takes place in Gauteng. So so the highest concentration of town planners would logically be just as
in the big cities, Gauteng, Durban, Cape
yes.
Town, things like
but
that.
I think there is definitely a need for just as there are a need for other built environment professionals such as engineers and architects and so forth right through the country and in all environments and in all localities. There's also a need for town planners right through from the rural settlements and district councils right through to the metros.
Okay, so just in your own words and based on your experience, to inspire a young person to pursue this career, what can you say to them?
What I would, without repeating myself, I would say that if you really are passionate about your area and you notice your area changing around you and you would like to influence that, I think this is something that is well worth looking at and well worth pursuing.
Okay, I guess if you want to change how your city looks and you want to see things that are visible that will be part of history, you can pursue this, eh?
I think so.
I
Look,
think
there's
so
so
too.
much exciting
Okay.
things happening, yeah.
All right, great stuff. John, thanks very much for coming through and
Thank you very
chatting to us this morning. That was John Brasseur from the Urban Dynamics Town Planners, telling us more about a career in town planning. For more information, you can go to urbandynamics.co.za.